Kalimera, kalispera, kalinichta, no matter where in this wild, wacky, and today it's a wonderful world you might be. Thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. The first of a bunch of post-game shows we're going to be doing this season. And let's just say you have a very happy host. And I'm sure that you guys are happy too. Let's rock and roll, squaddies. Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad. Well. How about them apples? Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, no matter where in this wacky world you might be. Thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. The post-game show is back, people, by popular demand. Many of you have written to me to say, why don't you do post-game shows anymore? And I'm like, sure, fine. We'll do post-game shows this season for the big games. And I'm really excited about that and looking forward to it. Today, I'm going to fly solo. So it's me and you guys are my co-hosts, okay? So we are going to do this together, Highbury Squad, squaddy style. Woof, I'm hot, I'm sweaty. First half, I was bothered. Second half, I was Trey happy. And I'm sure you guys are very happy too. Right, before we get stuck into things, let's get our housekeeping out of the way. And by the way, there's going to be a lot of you that were like, oh, you're doing a post-game show. So those listening on replay, thank you so much for joining. We have a bit of an RSS feed issue with Spotify and iTunes, which we're rectifying. So those who usually listen on the audio platforms, bear with us. We've got a new website going up, a lot of new stuff happening, which is very, very exciting. Another big announcement coming this week. And as you guys know, Kyle Campbell will be joining me for the show on Wednesday as well. So let's get some other housekeeping items out of the way first, and then we can wax lyrical about our Gunners. How about them apples? Football prizes. Don't forget to get your ticket. Please do visit the Football Prizes website. Get your ticket so you can win a match day hospitality experience against Brighton. By the way, I do like to be beside the seaside. Oh, I do like to be beside the sea. Well done, Welbeck and Brighton today. Day got off to a perfect start and it's ending absolutely beautifully. So go to footballprizes.co.uk, product AskBHA, and you could find yourself quids in to win big. There's a Declan Rice shirt up for grabs as well and a Patrick Vieira. My dad is calling me right now. Follow at Football Prizes. Should we answer the phone? Because he's a Man United fan. Just real quick. Hela, Dad, dimmi sto aeran. Okay, did you enjoy the Man United game today? Okay, I love you, Dad. Yes, Arsenal did win. Yes, I will call you later. Okay, Dad. All right, bye-bye. Bye. Oh, I love that. The words he used were S-H-I-T, shite, with an E on the end. I put an E on the end of it. Okay, let me know how the stream is and if there's a bit of a delay at all, because I feel like I'm getting one on my end. Had a bit of an internet issue today. Sophie, you are harsh. Listen, think about this, Trevor. How many years did we suffer at the hands of Manchester United fans? This is our moment. We deserve it. Yes, he might be my father. Andreas, you are my father. But I'm going to give it when I get every opportunity. And my sister's going to get it soon, and so is my niece. It's just glorious. I don't forget those 8-2 moments. It's hard to put that in the rearview mirror. So they shall suffer too, even though I'm here because of him. He loved it. He goes, oh, Arsenal won. I think he's taken on the baton of my mum, who was always happy when I was happy because Arsenal won. Let's say some good evenings. Rich, good evening. My dad does not like Danny Welbeck. No, not at all. And I will give it, Tammy, Chief Like Officer. Please do listen to Tammy, give a like, subscribe if you're new to the show. It really helps us. We've got some great stuff brewing here at Squad Central. I will. Let's have a look at Teng says it was a little jerky, but I'm not bothered by it. I love it. Lone Star, good evening to you. And from the great state of Texas, guts, grit, determination, resilience, and fight. Took our chances against a very good side. I'm glad I'm making you guys laugh. AFC Max, how's it going? Good enough for me too. Sugar, honey, iced tea. Woo, love it. Let's see what else we got here. Let's say hello to a few other people. Mark's in the house. PW is in the house. Mr. Hudson is in the house. We've been flexing that Vespa gif, Mr. Hudson. Yes, and Vespa actually wants swag as well this season. So we're going to have to figure that out. Wasim is here. Jonathan K is here. Listen, we're going to get to David Raya. We're going to get to all of it. Byron is here. The whole fam jam is here. Trev is here. Good evening, everybody. Let's get stuck in, shall we? I made some notes in the first half because I was getting a little bit vexed and bothered. Now, let me caveat this by saying, by the way, I had 4 different thumbnails for this show. If you want to see where things started, because I was very excited that Timber got the start today, right? And I felt like after last week, Saliba's very strange, sloppy passing, that he needed to kind of bounce back immediately because he's the Don and the God in the back. And so I thought, a nice Saliba looking up, Gurien looking happy. This was my first thumbnail. And then as the game, goes on, it's like I feel for writers sometimes when they're writing their article to close at the end of a match and then something dramatic happens and they've got to rewrite the whole bloody thing. Well, maybe just the ending. Then I had Saka and Odegaard. And then as the game progressed, we ended up here. Could have been Thomas Partey. Just saying, didn't have enough time. Could have been Leo and could have been Thomas Partey on the right-hand side. Okay. But I ended up with Odegaard because I feel like this guy, right, does things that no other player, some players can do. But for me, we talked about it with Dan on the show earlier this week. He is, Rodri is the best midfielder in the world. He's, for me, the best player in the world over the last couple of years. He's insane. What Martin Odegaard does in tight spaces is nothing short of phenomenal. He really is a very special player. And I could see, and I don't know if you guys agree with me, was getting frustrated in the first half. I didn't feel like Havertz and Martinelli were getting in the right positions. And Martin Odegaard and his feet in tight spaces, are they the slickest feet in the Premier League? The dude is unbelievable. And once again, the thumbnail could have been Saka as well. Persistent, didn't give up, kept going, put himself in the right positions, and in the end had an assist for Thomas Partey as well. So let's go through this together. Let me get... Oh, here we go. Being corrected once again for bastardizing names. Sure, fine, Fergus. Shouldn't you be at Villa Park, eh? Instead of having a go at me, having a pop at me. I love Fergus. Thank you for correcting me. And any other names I bastardize, including my own or my father's, then you guys can let me know. Tenseg says, Odegaard is a beast, so much stamina and energy. The team really struggles with the mid-block. Okay, let's talk about that a little bit, right, Demsek? In fact, let's get to that in a second because I want to kind of keep it positive for now. Mercurial M08. Watching from fancy free Brooklyn. I love me some New York. Midfield couldn't cope with Rodgers. Yes, to some extent. We're going to talk about that too. Trossard was the difference. Could have been Raya and Trossard. Again, it could have been David Raya. What a player. Brilliant match. I thought so too. Hello, squaddies. Hello, K Marlon. Saliba was world class. He is world class. Little bit touch and go in that first half. So let's talk about it. Here's my notes and let's see if you guys agree with me. Hit that like button as well, you guys, because it does help the show. It's the win that counts. Yes, felt really, really tentative, like the last game at the Etihad. But let's be honest, I'm all over the place here. So let's take it first half. In the first half, right, I think we were all delighted to see Jurriën Timber start. And why don't we start talking about our defense? Okay. I felt that in the first half, we kind of picked up where we left off with Wolves. I didn't think that we were sharp with our passing. I felt that, the pass that Saliba hit towards Gabriel, where then he got tackled and Watkins missed that absolute sitter of a chance. And let's be honest, but for Watkins doing better with 2 chances, this game could have been a little bit different, but that's not how football works. And it worked in our favor. I thought it was a little bit sloppy. And our centre backs looked not flustered, but just maybe uncomfortable when Villa were pressing. And I thought Villa's press in the first half was exceptional. And yes, Rodgers had a phenomenal game. And you know what? Credit to him and Ollie Watkins, because they put themselves in fantastic positions. The press was, really, really excellent. And I felt in the first half, they bossed that half. And Rodgers especially good. He's really physically imposing, really good with the ball at his feet. And Rice got a yellow card because of that play previously between Rodgers and Partey. And I felt like those two in particular troubled us. Let me take this off for a second. And so for me, that was probably my most gripey thing about the first half. I actually thought overall it was a chess match. And I'm not going to slam the team for a dull first half performance, albeit a phenomenal chance for Saka, a great save by Martinez. Watkins could have got a goal. I thought it was pretty even. However, they edged it with their play in midfield and Rodgers and Watkins threatening going forward. I actually thought Thomas Partey started the first half very effectively, thought that he was sharp, got himself in good spaces. He and Rice had some really great passes. There was a phenomenal pass, I think it was by Declan Rice, where Kai Havertz beat the offside trap and, just had a beat. He had a moment to control the ball, I felt there, Kai Havertz, and he just didn't. And once again, kind of snatched at a potential opportunity that came his way and just, didn't do so well. With that said, I'm not going to kill Havertz because I thought he was totally different in the second half when Trossard came on, and we're going to get to that. So first half defense, not as, dynamic as we're used to, and some things that I think we need to kind of work on, and it's early in the season, but we got away with it today. Demsek thinks that Rodgers was scary good. He was. Partey had a good game. Rice was anonymous. Do you think so? I don't think he was anonymous. I thought he had a couple of really good passes. One through to Havertz, one to Martinelli, and let's see what Ekal says. Playing a single pivot is not easy, something Jorginho can't do. And that's why we saw Partey kind of, play the whole game. This is brilliant. Saliba was brilliant. And also what I loved was it McGinn who kicked the ball at Saliba and Ben White just kicked it right back at him, as if to say, it felt like we were in the high school and we're in the playground and someone kicked the ball at your mate and you just kicked it right back. And as if to say, you want some? Come on then. Are you starting? So I love that. The shithousery of Benjamin White is up there. Absolutely up there. He is exactly what we need in this team. He's so good at doing it, and so is Kai Havertz. But today, Benjamin White, absolutely love to see that. Stand up for your teammates. Stand up for each other. Don't let anyone bully you, and be there in those moments. Right, let's talk about the defense a little bit in terms of... Actually, let's move on to this part of the first half. I wanted to touch on Timber a little bit because, like I said, I was excited that Timber was starting, and I felt like this was the move everyone wanted to see. And I actually saw some tweets from some Arsenal fans asking for Zinchenko, and I'm like, "Gee willikers, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't." What I like about Timber is there's nothing much to say, which is, I think, a good thing for a player in his position, and that he played conservative football and he got through the entire game with unscathed. We saw a little bit of Calafiori at the end, not too much, but I felt like Timber did his job. And this is the reason why in that first half, I'm not too bothered, because I felt overall in a tricky fixture where we lost 6 points to this team last season. If we hadn't won this game, it would have been scary times. Everyone would have flipped their lid. And so for me, the fact that you can't point to mistakes, glaring ones, okay, we were ineffective. I thought in the final third we would cheat with the ball. We didn't really take advantage of those passes from Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, and Martin Odegaard. It was a little bit flat. Other than Saka, I didn't feel like much was going to happen up front. But Jurien Timber, I'm sure Fergus will correct me, I thought had, Big Ben's going to go off 12 times now, by the way, I thought had a really good, decent, professional game. Let's see. Only blemish is Odegaard needs to figure out a way to influence games like this. Did he not? I mean, did he not have an impact in the second half? I felt that when Trossard came on in the second half, the whole team changed. The whole dynamic changed. Everything was elevated. The movement was faster. The balls were getting to players' feet. Players were looking up. They were passing the ball. And here's my issue, right? I tweeted that if I have a gripe about the first half, and I'm sorry, some of you may not like this, I'm not digging him out. I'm not, hanging him out to dry. It's an opinion that Martinelli, for me, needs to evolve. Okay. I believe he stifled the attack, and that had a roll-on effect on Havertz too. Now, I know a lot of people want to blame Kai Havertz when things don't go right or when we're not scoring goals. But there's a connectivity, isn't there, between the interplay has to be smooth and it has to work. Kai Havertz is waiting for those opportunities. And if I'm honest, they didn't really come from Saka too. I liked how Saka was a lot more aggressive when he got the ball. He wanted to take on players and have some shots. But Martinelli did get himself in some decent positions. And my goodness, I tweeted that it's like he's on his iPhone. It is like he's on his iPhone and he doesn't look up. And this is something that hasn't progressed in his game. And there are a few people that came at me, calling me a hater, calling me all sorts of names today. And this is my opinion. I think he hogs the ball too much. He doesn't release the ball fast enough. There are moments, and an example of this too was there was a break on the right side, not to just point out what Martinelli didn't do on the left, but there was some great interplay between Saka and Ben White. Ben White goes to the byline and he cuts the ball back, and there's no one charging from our midfield. We saw that in the second half. There was something in the first half that the midfield didn't quite trust to push it forward to the edge of the box. And maybe that's where a Mikel Merino comes in and he helps us. But that cutback from Ben White, where's that? Xhaka did that quite well, but that Lampard-Gerrard charging through the middle and being able to capitalize on those opportunities, that only happened once or twice on the right. It was happening consistently on the left. And most of the time, it was because Martinelli was not looking up and he wasn't passing the ball sooner. And I don't know if he's just trying too hard or if this is something that, he's trying to work on overall, but it's simple. Sometimes we overcomplicate the game. Just pass the ball sooner. Give it to your teammate. Get yourself in a different position. And he just seems to fail to do that time and time again. And for me, he was the weak link in the first half. And it was evident when Trossard came on in the second half. And again, I'm not being harsh, but I just was getting. Okay, here's what I said to a mate of mine on WhatsApp. This might be harsh. You can tell me if it's fair or foul. I'm starting to feel when Martinelli gets the ball, I don't expect a great pass. I don't expect anything positive to happen. You tell me, is that fair or foul? Am I being too harsh? Because I didn't think he had a good game against Wolves. I thought he was doing the same things against Wolves. In pre-season, I thought he was rocking it. But again, football's very different in pre-season. Defenses aren't as aggressive. They're not as tight. Yes, he takes a lot of players with him. They break down that space that he'd be able to move in. But at the same time, I feel like when he gets the ball, I'm kind of throwing my arms up in the air. And I've never felt that way about Martinelli. Let's see what you guys want to say here. That's totally fair, Soph. Rancid. Agree, Nelly is poor and doesn't improve. Demsek says, I can see your argument about Martinelli. We haven't replaced Xhaka. Well, Mikel Merino, in principle, if that comes to fruition, will be better than Xhaka. He was what we were missing in the first half. Charging through the middle. It's up for grabs now type stuff. That's what we're missing. We need to get more goals from midfield. Martin Odegaard is very good, and we know it. He missed a sitter today. Had a bit of an NFL kick, if we're being honest, right? That wasn't a good moment for him, even though he did other really good things in the game. But we need more goals from midfield. And I think that if we get more goals from midfield, this whole gripe about a striker will end soon. And it's a bummer that Jesus is injured again. You know, we need to overcome these issues. Just when he looked good and he was coming back, he's injured again. I mean, it's worrying about him. It's worrying about Tomiyasu. Jesus isn't that charging player who's going to get you those goals anyway. What he does is totally different. But we need more goals from midfield. And to see Thomas Partey get one today was euphoric. It was brilliant. And yes, Martinez scuffed the save, which was glorious to see. We enjoyed that, no? And Saka was patient with the pass, seeked him out, came in charging. And that is something that I think if we can do more of, we can win the title with that type of incremental improvement over a season. And I think it's fundamentally important that our midfield gets more into the game like that. And to see Thomas Partey do that today was brilliant. Bargav says, Sophie, spot on. Hope everyone has a lovely day. Yes. AFC Max says, I'm going to hold reservation on Martinelli until Marino comes in. Fair. Totally fair. Praktika. I think if Martinelli and Havertz get to know each other better, he'd be more effective. Perhaps Arteta will settle on Havertz and Trossard. I actually like Trossard coming off the bench. I don't mind actually Trossard playing from the start or coming off the bench. But I love this idea of him being that super sub type player. Kind of like when United had Solskjaer and Sheringham and used to, you know, interchange. I think it's fundamentally important for a team to have a super sub type player. And if we can control a game, you know, if Jesus is fit, maybe he plays on that left side. Martinelli, I'm hoping, like AFC Max said, hold, you know, I'm just going by 2 games. I'm not digging him out. I'm not saying he shouldn't start next week. In fact, in the game against Dan Pott, I supported Martinelli starting. And Dan wanted Leo Trossard to start. And I was talking about Leo Trossard being a super sub. So we do have options. And I don't think our bench is as weak as people think. Raul says, you're spot on. Martinelli can't play on tight spaces. He needs space. He loves space. And that's the thing. Stevie Nick always says on this show, when we play Liverpool, 2 plays that scare the bejesus out of him. Saka, Martinelli. And why? Because if you give them too much space, they'll do damage all day long. And Martinelli certainly operates in open spaces better. Can we forget about Xhaka? I totally agree. Stop posting pictures of him on social media as well. In fact, no, I'm going to post my picture with Xhaka when it's his birthday. So strike that, Benny. Martinelli is same as 3 years ago. Random rubs. Well, season before last, I thought he was brilliant. You know, had some great moments. And I'm not giving up on Martinelli. Just saying that After the injury, confidence, game time, that just all needs to build back. And I'm sure we'll see the best of him. Omar Guna says, agree 1000%. Good evening, Kenya. Ooh, I love it. Love our African Gooners. Martinelli is Gervinho. No, Suraj. That's harsh. Woof. I mean, I was worried about being, foul, but that is harsh. Yeah. I'm not sure about that. Gervinho? Crikey. I wasn't expecting that. Teng says, our problem is the teams we face now, we're good and don't give us the space. Yeah, exactly. I agree, which is a credit to us, the respect that they show for us. And it shows like our improvement. And by the way, mentally elevated, breaking ducks again, lose 6 points to Villa, come back, beat them in the second game of the season. We broke a lot of ducks last season. And I want you squaddies to check this one out for me, because apparently it's a record we've held, like 10 games where we've had the lead in 10 consecutive games. Maybe you guys can check that one out for me. But there's a record tied to the 10 games, and I was trying to check it before I came on air, and I just didn't have time. Let's look at the stats real quick. Here we go. Hold on a second. Let's get this up. Stats. 11 shots for them, 9 for us, 3 on target for them, 4 for us. Possession, 61% possession we had. And it felt that way. We had 502 passes. They had 321. Our pass accuracy was 91%. This is why I know, like, as much as there was moaning and groaning in that first half, I didn't fear them, I didn't feel uncomfortable in this match the way I did towards the end of last season in our match at home. I felt very uncomfortable in that game. And even though Rodgers and Watkins were superb, I just always felt that we had control. Not all the control, but some. 15 fouls we committed. I mean, they got a little bit dirty. I loved all the rough and tumble as well. Loved the potential kind of in the right-hand corner where that broke out when Saliba went down. Thought that was brilliant. Yellow cards, 3 for us, 1 for them. We were caught offside once and then 3 times. They had 4 corners. We only had 1 corner in that match. Yeah. Byron, he's not a striker. He'll get eaten alive playing in a number 9 role. Eaten alive. There's no way. No way. Lemon, yes, 10 consecutive away matches. I think that's what the commentators were saying. Thank you for that. A lot of recency bias here. From me or from the squaddies, Archangel? Make it clear. I think Martinelli could play up front. Think he did under Emery? No. I'm not having it, Tammy. Not having it, you guys. He doesn't have the physicality to play up front. Think about what Havertz goes through in a match. And think about how physical centre-backs are in the Premier League. Martinelli's a wide player. He's a flair player. He can be a game changer on a whim. He just needs to get his confidence back. Gooner Gang, why are we such a disrespectful online fan base to our players? Eddie Reese and now Nelly getting it in the neck. Oh, gosh. Gooner Gang, we're just talking. It's just an opinion. The disrespect is from other fans who come at you and say shit when you have an opinion about a player. I mean, it's not Demolition Man. It's not a totalitarian society where if you say something that toilet paper comes out the wall and you get a fine. This is what we do here. Okay? No one here is being disrespectful. We're just talking. All right? All right, let's get stuck into the moment the game changed. By the way, I feel there was a moment before the moment the game changed, and that is David Raya. David Raya was our best player against Wolves, and potentially, as you guys know, he almost made the thumbnail this evening, our best player in this match as well. There's no doubt Trossard was brilliant when he came on. But that save, by the way, Raya was also saved by the crossbar. If he was an inch taller, he would have tipped that over. However, his reflex and recovery after that ball came off the bar was brilliant. And a lot of folks will say, and I will say, Ollie Watkins should have buried that, should have finished it, just like he should have in the first half, but he didn't. And it was still a good save because it was away from him. And against Wolves, he saved us. The double save, it's a toss-up in terms of player of the match, and we're going to get to that at the very, very end. Hey, Jags, how you doing? Have you got your football prizes ticket? I don't think anyone buys them because they think you're going to win. Tell everyone they need to buy one. You don't buy as many as you used to. Raya has credit in the bank so far this season. I think it started last season, Mark. I think David Raya has built up some love coupons with the Arsenal fans now. And that love affair started in the penalty shootout against Porto. And, you guys know at the beginning I didn't understand it. And I'm always the first to say, you know what? Hey ho, put your hands up. Defer to Mikel Arteta. He knows better than I am, more educated. I am just paid to have an opinion. Paid by myself, by the way. And he has exemplified leadership. There's another thing that Raya did and has done in these last two games. In Wolves, he was very vocal, very loud, bellowing, because we got ourselves in a pickle on a couple of occasions with Wolves. They broke our line and he was put under unnecessary duress, something that rarely happened last season. This season, it's happened early and it's happened in both of our games. He is so vocal. And I don't know if that's something, it seems to me he's more vocal in these two games than he was for a large portion of last season. And maybe that's because there's a lapse in concentration at the back. He's done that brilliantly. His shot stopping improved. Okay, something that we rave with Aaron. Aaron's a brilliant shot stopper. We say how Aaron's a better shot stopper and Raya's better with the distribution. However, there were times today where he wanted to pass the ball so quickly after an Aston Villa attack, and we weren't moving quick enough for him. And I'm not saying he sees the game like Martin Odegaard, but he's getting to a level where he can see the potential and we're not moving quick enough for him to distribute the ball. And I thought that happened on a couple of occasions in today's match. Then the super sub came on. Leo Trossard. Didn't need glasses to see that one. Did he touch the ball? Did he score with his first chance? Listen, before we do that, let's get some of your Raya takes because he deserves it. Let's see. Shafiq, Raya, our saver, cement in the defense. If I'm being critical of Raya, I think he misjudges the first attempt. You could say that in that first attempt, he was too far off his line. We saw that in the game against Bayern Munich in the Champions League, right? That he was a little bit too far off his line. But also that was a shit show at the back. Let's be fair. Let's see. If we want to win the league, every player has to contribute. Raya and Partey needed that. Totally agree. I don't want to hear that Emi Martinez is better. Let's put that to bed, shall we? I'm over that. I'm glad Emil Smith-Rowe scored a goal today for Fulham. I'm done with that conversation. I'm happy Xhaka went invincible with Bayer Leverkusen. I'm done with that conversation. Emi Martinez is a good goalkeeper, won the World Cup. I'm done with that conversation. Rearview mirror syndrome. I only use the rearview mirror to check my lipstick. I'm done with that. Raya was man of the match. Archangel. It was a good reflex save, but yeah, Watkins, sure. Yeah, but he still had to save it, right? Let's see. You can see an improvement, says Tammy. AFC Max says, Raya said in the interview that he should have stopped the first attempt. Yeah. Just a little bit too high. Hi, Soph, what a keeper Raya is. Yeah, really good stuff. Should we talk about Trossard? I want you guys to answer this question for me now. Are you starting Trossard in the next game? Or are you going to let Martinelli play through his funk a little bit? Who are you starting in the next game? because I understand that this is a pickle for a lot of fans. I would start Martinelli still. I would give him the opportunity to play out of his funk and keep Trossard on the bench. Let Martinelli play 2 or 3 games, see how it goes. The beautiful thing about that is that we know that we've got what we need on the bench to kind of have a player that can come on and have an immediate impact and immediate effect. Teng starting Trossard. Shitanya, next game Martinelli, but this Villa game Trossard should have started. Tammy says off the bench, keep Martinelli. Trossard, let's see. Amina says Trossard. Jaffa says Leo is clear. Steve Stone says yes. Just an observation. First half, I thought Partey's, yes, he was good. We're going to get to him too. He also, Archangel being harsh about Raya. So some of you want Leo and some of you want to keep Martinelli. Leo is good off the bench. Not many players can do that. He comes on hot. It's really unreal. Listen, either way, if you're a defender and you've been running ragged for like 65, 70 minutes and either Martinelli or Trossard are coming on, you're kind of looking at that and thinking, oh, crikey. Kai says, horses for courses. Trossard has a chip on his shoulder. I love that he didn't celebrate. Didn't you just love the way he kind of just went, yeah, see, should have started me. You know what I'm saying? He had that about him. If he had a collar, he would have flicked it up like Cantona. I thought he was brilliant. I thought the game changed when he come on. The energy, the passing, the movement, the believability. There was something about Trossard that galvanized the entire team. His energy was infectious. And I thought we looked a totally different team. But also, I thought our units performed better. There was a level of confidence. Once the goal went in, everyone just relaxed and we really started playing our game. You know, more players were getting involved, more players were pushing forward. And I liked how we didn't totally shut shop. We were still looking for that insurance goal, something that we've criticized the manager and the players for doing before in previous games. And I just thought it was great. And, you know, Thomas Partey deserves some credit today too. I know Rodgers had the best of him at points, but I don't think it was... This one's a tough one because there were times where I thought, there was a moment where Rodgers took the ball in his own half and he took the ball up to the edge of our box and Thomas Partey felt like he was fouled. Referee didn't want anything to do with it. I don't think he was fouled. And he kind of made Thomas Partey look a little silly. However, I felt that Thomas Partey stuck with the game, never gave up. In previous matches, disappeared. Like the Wolves game, I felt like Thomas Partey started off quite well and then disappeared. Poof, it was like magic. He just went away. In this game, I thought he persevered and put himself out there. And I thought that it was the best Thomas Partey we've seen since pre-season and Wolves. And the fact that he got a goal as well was brilliant. So for me, Leo coming on opened up spaces and everyone took advantage of that. And there was a level of confidence that I thought was really, really good to see. Right. Let's do some play ratings. All right. Let's have a look and see what you got. Okay. Here's our defense. Can we also talk about the Italian stallion, please? What do you want to say, Jaffa? Say whatever you want. Was he on long enough for us to make too many comments? It was just lovely to see him on the pitch. Looks good in the black. By the way, is that kit growing on you guys? It might be growing on me. Not saying I'm going to buy one, but it might be growing on me, that kit. I thought it looked pretty powerful today. I mean, I'm, not happy with myself for having such a drastic change of thought, but it really is growing on me. All right, let's do some player ratings. David Raya, for me, solid, saved us again, always looking for the pass, alert. Yes, could have been better, like he said, on that first opportunity that hit the crossbar. However, David Raya gets let's do the defense. Let's do this. Demsek, I like where you're going. The defense an 8.5. Sloppy in the first half for the last 20 minutes, but overall a good performance in the second half by our defense. Raya's getting a lot of nines here. Nines, 8.5 for Raya. Excellent punch as well. That was a very powerful punch. Good point of Yenny. That went almost to the high halfway line. Collectively, 8.5 as a team. Saliba's tackle is a 10. Hey, Wesberg, good to see you in the chat, as always. All right, so we're going to give the defense 8.5 collectively, but the player of the match in defense is David Raya by a long shot, and he gets a 9. Our chief like officer sums it up for us. Okay, let's check out that midfield. What you got, kids? What are we giving the midfield collectively? I think the midfield gets an 8. I think Raya ups the score. Actually, no. I'm going to go an 8.5 again. Lone Star, you might be right. We could call this an 8.5 for everybody. I know a lot of you keep talking about the double pivot, and there's the whole conversation about is Rice a 6 or an 8? But I think that overall, Rice was so much better than he was against Wolves. In Wolves, someone at the start of the show said that Rice was AWOL, but in that Wolves game, I thought he had a terrible game. Really worse than the game he had against West Ham last season. So for me, I think that the midfield, Crosh Jonky says 7.5. Too generous, Soph. 7.5 for me, even though Partey got the goal. Trevor says 8.5. Tammy says 7.5. Nah, 7. Declan and Martin did not do much, really, of Yenny being harsh there too. 7. Vlodko Star says 7. AFC Max 8. We're getting 9s and 9.5s for Saliba. I'm going to give them 8. Mark, I'm going to go with your score, an 8 for the midfield. And Steve Stone says 8 for me gave a higher score, but Villa broke through too easy at times. They certainly did in the first half. They really did. And it was weak sauce at times. And they're a good team. But we still won 2-0. And even though they broke through us, yes, for lack of finishing by Watkins, but Raya also stepped up to the mark. And in the second half, I felt like we rectified that. Now, with regards to the attack, let's talk about this. I didn't think it was their best game. I thought Saka was fantastic against Wolves. Didn't think he was as good in this game. However, never gave up, as I said, stayed in it. For me, the attack today gets a 7 because of Saka. But if I'm marking Havertz and Martinelli, Martinelli gets a 5 and Havertz gets a 6 only because of the way he played when Trossard came on and the things that he does off the ball that really go unrecognized and underappreciated. It's so easy to point the finger at Havertz when we don't play that well, or, you know, we don't score in the first half. And yes, I said that when that through ball came from Rice, he didn't do enough to make the most of that moment. And I think that, yes, today we were predictable, but we weren't when Trossard came on. Trossard's going to get his own score. I'm not even coupling him in this. All right. He came on with 25 minutes to go. And you know what? The bench really did well when they came on. Our forward line wasn't at its best today. 7. Attack 7, but 8 after Leo came on. Let's see. Attack 7, Martinelli 6.5. Havertz. You're scoring Martinelli more than Havertz. I don't get that. PW, have you been on the Zivania? What's going on? Trossard 9, Trossard 8. Jesus, a big miss up front. Listen, we can't rely on Jesus. We need to stop this. Same with Tomiyasu. I mean, he came back looking brilliant and he's injured. And I'm sure he'll be fine. And hopefully it's not a long-term injury. But we when he's available, he's very important. And I think, yes, had he been playing in that first half and Martinelli wasn't, the game could have been a little bit different. The way Jesus and Havertz have been playing together is very impressive. So let's hope he comes back and he's fit. So, yeah. Okay, the bench. We'll do the bench. The bench gets a 9 because of Trossard. And I think that it was nice to see Reece Nelson come on and get a little kickabout in it. Nut it. And Trossard was just brilliant. Trossard gets a 9. Trossard and Raya were the players of the match. Brilliant stuff from both of them. I think that the Italian stallion was really great to see him get a run out there. Timber's going to be our starting left back. I think that is going to be the case. Unless you guys disagree with me, let me know. Very handsome bench. Calafiori looks solid. Very strong. So elegant. He really does have the Paolo Maldinis about him, doesn't he? I'll give Calafiori 10 for that shithousery on Martinez. It was pretty special. Well said, Archangel, and well done for reminding me about that. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah. So listen, I think there's a lot to be excited about and a lot to look forward to. This was a very good Aston Villa team who have strengthened in the summer. They had moments of really beautiful play, great passages of play between Watkins and Rodgers. I thought that they did a good job in midfield in that first half. Martinez saved from Saka, made a mess of the Partey shot, but who cares? This is a team that took 6 points from us last season. This is a team that's playing in the Champions League, and this is a team that is resurgent. And there are many pundits and media who expect big things from Aston Villa this season. I think that they're going to have some struggles because, like Newcastle last season, they'll be excited about being in the Champions League, and eventually, at some point, the minutes will take their toll. But I can see a team like Aston Villa winning a domestic trophy this season. But with that said, the Champions League is going to be too alluring, too sexy. And these teams that get back into it for the first time in a long time have a huge focus on wanting to do well in that. So, yeah, I thought overall we played professional, mature football. And to get 2 points at Villa Park was huge for us today. It was a must win for me because if you want to win the title, these are the games you have to win. And righting the wrongs from last season just ups the game. And when you see how Manchester City scored, 500 goals in 9 minutes, this is the machine that we have to stop. So we have to be a machine. We can't be Terminator 1 anymore. We got to be T2. We have to operate like Robert Patrick in Terminator 2. Can't have a glass chin. When we break, we got to bounce back. We got to keep moving forward. And I think this team is built for success. And yes, it would be great if Mikel Merino comes in. And I know many of you want a striker. Calafiori, Jorginho, Trossard, Zinchenko, Reece Nelson, Waneri, Kivior, Eddie. Strike Eddie. Aaron might be going. And Kivior might be going to Italy. Okay. But there's Lewis Skelly as well, who may get some chances this season. We don't know. We heard Mikel in his press conference talking about wanting a mix, a team like Athletic Bilbao, Basque Country, where you mix it up a little bit with youth, locals, foreign players. I don't think our bench is as weak as people think. And we're going to mark the gaffer as well. How did Mikel do today? I think he did great. I thought he managed the game brilliantly. And I thought that he brought on Trossard at exactly the right time to have maximum impact. None of this 10 minutes crap. 25 minutes to affect the game, have an impact. Took him, 2 minutes to do that? Fine. I just busted my own theory. But those are the types of substitutions I think most of us would like to see him make this season. Go earlier. Don't be afraid to change the game. Don't be afraid of your bench. Trust your bench. Starting 11, we know you like to have that tight-knit group, but you've got to trust your bench this season. And I think we've got better bench players who can have really good impact and a versatility that not a lot of teams outside of Manchester City and us have. Right. We got, let's see, let's get your marks for Mikel in. We got 9 for Arteta, 9 from Trevor, 8.5 from Ian, 8.5 from Teng. Arteta gets a 10 from the Lone Star State. Simi says 9. Mark says 9. Tammy, 7.5. Very harsh. Byron says 8.5. Jaffa says 8. So, yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Love that analogy. Thank you. Thanks very much. Agree, Sophie. We can't afford any slip-ups. These are the games we showed backbone, and you guys have shown backbone today. And I appreciate every single one of you for showing up, just like our Arsenal team did, especially in the second half. Brilliant stuff. 3 points. We march on. And our next game. Okay, I'm having a brain fart. Do we play Brighton next? I think so, right? Yes, Saturday the 31st of August. Just had to double check that. I'm too excited because I love today. I love these kinds of performances. Just where you think the first half, and then the second half, you just keep grinding. The mentality is there. You know, it was massive today for the team and also for Mikel Arteta. Because remember, in the show the other day with Dan Pottsy, asked these questions. Emery v Arteta. Can Mikel crack the Emery code? And he did. And he did it well. This team was ready. We had the conversation about who should start, Leo or Gabby. And you know what? Leo came on and did a phenomenal job. Most of you wanted to see Jurriën Timber start over Zinchenko. You got that. And the manager got that right. He had a solid game. And when you look at the midfield, some of you were screaming for Jorginho to start over Thomas Partey. But again, Mikel showed faith. He stuck with Thomas Partey and he got a goal as well. These are all really good, positive things. It smells like squad spirit to me. They're ready when called upon. And you can't ask for anything more from the manager. And there might be some folks screaming and yelling about wanting to see more come through in the transfer window. Yes, that could come back to bite us in the arse. But we're only 2 games in. And today was a good day. And so we're going to bask in the good day. We're going to enjoy the fact that Manchester United lost as well, because we can do that. Now we've won. We can have a little bit of a laugh. That's it. That's all I've got for you. I appreciate every single one of you. It's been fun to do a post-game show again. You as my co-hosts are phenomenal. How about on the next one, some of you pop into the studio with me and we can have a conversation. I would love that. And I hope you would love that too. I appreciate every single one of you. And, you know, Squad Central might be a little bit different this season, but it's still going to be a good season. We got some really exciting stuff coming up. A big announcement coming this week, which I think you're all going to love. Kai will be on the show on Wednesday. I will be back on Monday with Magic Mike. We're going to look ahead to Brighton. He's going to give us a debrief on our Arsenal women in Washington, D.C. We're going to talk about the phenomenal art fair that Magic has organized and is coming up on the 30th of August. So please look out for that. We're going to talk about the Arsenal. And as the transfer window closes, we'll talk about that too. All right. Let's get some of your closing comments. Bye, Sophie, Australia. I love my bros from down under. Good to have a post-match show. Yes. I would love a call-in. Okay, Evgeny, you've got it. Do you want to do it for Brighton? We could do it for Brighton. Love Highbury Squad. Amina, love you guys too. Cheers, Soph. Love the show. I'll pop on next time. Yes, Mark, with your guitar. Promise to give everyone a song. Thanks for the show. Thank you, Teng, for hanging out. We need a bigger squad. We're going to need a bigger boat. Okay, fine. The quality of coaches, Lone Star, we'll get to that. Yay, says Simi. Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, Steve. Tell your loved ones you love them. We're getting to that. He would have, absolutely. And he's going to be with us here in spirit for the whole season. I'm telling you, I feel him every single time I come on air and I do a show. We are on playback, Sophie, but Mr. W agrees with your analogy of Martinelli. Okie doke. I love that. All right, you guys, we'll be back live on Monday. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend. I'm going down to do an event at LA Galaxy. Looking forward to that. So any of you LA folks that listen to the show, I look forward to seeing you there. And I love that it feels like home to you guys. This is what makes this community so special. So that's all I've got. Don't forget, please tell your buddies who love films to go check out my Jennifer Esposito interview. She's brilliant. The film's brilliant. And hello, Jennifer Esposito on the Highbury Squad. And wait till I tell you who our next guest is. You're going to love that as well. Okay, you know the rules. Don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them. Please share the show with all of your fellow Arsenal fans. And let's keep the positivity going. The Arsenal win 2-0 to the Gunners. I love you guys. Tell your loved ones you love them. And at ease, my squaddies, at ease. Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.